Hey guys, today's recipe is going to be classic Italian red sauce that you can eat with pasta, gnocchi, even use it as pizza sauce if you wanted to. This recipe is actually my husband's recipe, and I have videotaped him making the recipe. I am not the one who makes Italian sauce recipes in our family because this is his crown recipe. Okay, you guys, this recipe has been passed down for generations in his family, and he has tweaked the recipe a little bit over the years. But it is his recipe, and he is the only person who can make Italian sauce in our family. So I videotaped him, and I think this recipe will be beneficial to so many people because, quite honestly, I think everybody should have a basic, yummy Italian sauce recipe at home available because it's so easy. If you have it in your fridge, you can basically eat it with anything. I mean, you can just literally make some Italian bread with garlic and just eat it with your sauce. It also freezes really well, so it's excellent for meal prepping and meal planning. You can put in your freezer, and then on the days that you decide to have some pasta, you can just take it out of your freezer, defrost it, heat it up, and pour it all over your boiled pasta dish. All right, let's go ahead and get started. First, you want to get a big pot. I'm using my aluminum pot here and add about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. Then add 1 big chopped onion. I'm using white onions here, and caramelize them for a little bit. If you're oil free, you can also substitute for about 1/2 cup of vegetable broth. Then moving on to canned tomatoes. So here we are using a fire roasted, diced and whole tomatoes. You don't have to use fire roasted, you can just use regular. So you're going to take 1 whole tomato can and blend it in your blender or your food processor to essentially puree it and add it to your sauce. Next, you'll be adding the big can of diced tomatoes into your caramelized onions and stir that really well. Then add pureed can of tomatoes straight from your blender or food processor into your pot and stir that really well. Then you would want to add 28 ounces of filtered water, and we're just using the same can of tomatoes to fill up the water because it's exactly 28 ounces, and stir that into your pot. Next up, you need to add 1 small can of tomato paste, and again, using a wooden spoon, stir that paste into your sauce and until it is nice and blended. Next, add some salt and freshly cracked pepper. Next, add some rosemary. And lastly, add a little bit of red crushed pepper. Now, red crushed pepper is not a traditional ingredient in the recipe, so you may leave it out. We do like a little bit of a kick that provides, so we definitely add that in. And then lastly, add fresh basil. This is very, very important for the flavor of your sauce. If you do not have fresh basil, you can go with dried basil, but keep in mind that the flavor may not be as robust. And then slowly stir that in to your sauce, and we'll just keep cooking it. Overall, you will need to cook your sauce for 3.5 hours on low heat. So this does take a little bit of time, but honestly, you guys, it is more like passive cooking. And make sure that you stir the sauce gently every 15 minutes throughout that 3.5 hours. And this is what the sauce looks like once it's cooked. It's nice and yummy, and it's creamy, and it's really delicious. I've decided to serve my sauce with some homemade gnocchi and a lentil meatball. And I hope you guys enjoyed today's recipe. If you make it over the weekend, definitely post a photo to our Facebook group to be entered into our giveaway.